Are you getting ready to pack your RV for camping season, researching what you need for full-time RVing, or just looking for ideas to organize your basement storage? In this video, I'll show you what's in my storage, why I carry the things I do, and how we keep it organized. Hey, it's Steve from Raider RotoWires. My wife and I travel full-time in our 2020 open range 371 MBH fifth wheel. Most of the time when we travel is for work and not pleasure. I work as a heavy equipment operator and provide emergency fueling for hurricane relief efforts. I like to carry enough tools and supplies to be confident we're not going to be stuck if the RV breaks, and I'll be able to fix most of the issues myself. I know not everyone full-times, and some people have more storage and some have less, so you will need to decide what items you consider essential for your travels. This video will give you lots of ideas on things you may want to pack in your RV, so let's start with the main storage compartment. When you organize your storage, you want to make sure you have totes that fit the space that you have, and the totes fit the things you need to put in them. I organize each tote with similar items. One tote has the power cords and water hoses, another one has the sewer adapters, and a little toolbox, all the small fittings to hook up at the campsite. When you set up your storage area, put the things you don't use as often in the middle, and things you need to set up camp and dump your tanks on the outside where they're easy to get to. Now I'm going to go through each tote and show you what's in them, but I'm right on a neighbor's property line, so I'll take the totes out, bring them over to our picnic table so I can go through them and not annoy our neighbor. We're going to start off with the power and the water hoses. I throw the big 50 amp cord on top of this. I can get it inside the tote, but that's just too much work every time we travel. So we'll get this guy out of the way. This does have a 90-degree adapter on it. I just leave it on there. Takes a lot of stress off this cord versus coming straight out of the RV like this. So inside I have our water hoses. We got a 25 foot and 10 foot, which normally does every campsite, plus a 25 footer. It helps with the black tank flush or longer hoses. A 50 amp, 15 foot extension cord in case we can't quite reach a campsite pedestal. We have the dog bone adapters, take us from 50 amp all the way down to 15 amp. A 50 foot 0G hose, if we have to go to somewhere longer, normally used for hurricane work. An extra clear to a water filter. And this is a 30 amp power cord adapter, normally again used for hurricane work. We have to get to somewhere longer. And then at the bottom we have a longer regular extension cord, and we have some newspaper to start campfires, along with some extra water filters and a little short 1 foot hose in case those odd situations hooking up water filters. And that's it for this one. Now let's go into our little toolbox with all of our little adapters. These little toolboxes work good. They pack easy in the RV and can fit quite a bit of stuff in them. So we have some quick connect adapters, a 45-degree adapter for hooking up the water filter at different locations, screwdrivers, plug testers, dielectric grease for the cord going to the truck, a little water meter, some Teflon tape, and I have the voltage meter for testing the plug at the campsite, along with our water pressure regulator, and a Y adapter for campgrounds with only one spigot. And the reason I'm not using any of these things, because I packed everything up in here to show you exactly how we travel in the RV. So a few other miscellaneous things, some duct tape, some other hose adapters, things I don't use all the time, but they fit in this toolbox. Everything in this stack is for our sewer. In this little yellow tote, there's all the little sewer connections, a big pair of gloves, some other things. I'm not going to open it up and go through it because nobody wants to see sewer stuff. So now on to the other things. This is a sidewinder sewer hose support for keeping a hose off the ground and making sure it flows going to the sewer. And this one we have a Rhinoflex sewer flush hose, along with some other miscellaneous things for the sewer, such as the wrenches, which are lifesavers. And this little guy works great at getting off those stuck sewer caps at the campground, plus a few different caps and some other gloves, extra things we need for the sewer. The last thing for all of our connections is our water filter. This rides separately. I put little caps on the end of this so it's not going to drip water out when we're traveling, but we love the clear 2.0 filters. And now let's talk about maintaining the RV, and the first is keeping it clean. This is our waterless wash and wax kit by Aero Cosmetics. I have a whole video on this. If you're interested, we'll link it down below. Now we're onto the tote with the grease and sealants for maintaining the RV. We have an open tube of Dicor. These tubes keep it airtight so it's not going to dry out on us. And down below we have a caulk gun, some more Dicor for fixing on the roof. These little scrapers work great around the RV for removing silicone when we have to fix a seal. And below here, it's going to be greasy, I'm not going to touch it, but we have a grease gun for taking care of the wheel bearings and a suspension on the RV. And I'll link the video for grease and wheel bearings down below as well. And now, let's talk about tools. This is the fun part. Starting off with the DeWalt impact wrench. This is great for maintaining the RV, or if we have to change a tire on the side of the road, I can quickly pull this out. I have a socket in here that fits our lug nuts. Everything is handy and ready to go. Also, after you change a tire, you need to torque down the lug nuts properly. So I carry this torque wrench right where it's easy to get to on the outside of the RV, so my tire's not going to fall off going down the road. This little toolbox works good on maintaining the RV, fixing the truck, or helping a neighbor out if need be. Different ratchets or wrenches. And the bottom we have different sockets or pliers down here in the different drawers. Every guy has got to have more tools. Remember, I work construction and hurricane relief work, so I have a little more than the average person, but there's a couple tools in here that every RVer should have. And the first one of those tools you need is a drill. This can fix the things on the RV, but paired with that is a little impact driver wrench for taking screws out, putting them back in, way easier than using a screwdriver. And of course you need batteries. I carry a couple of DeWalt 5 amp hour batteries. And the other tools in here to go with those would be some drill bits and miscellaneous bits to go for the impact driver. Now into the construction tools, we have a reciprocating saw, we have a circular saw, we have a little flashlight, and every guy needs a cordless grinder. All these items I'm showing you, I'll put down in their own list in our Amazon store, so you can find anything I'm talking about inside this video. Now for the rest of my tools. And the top up here, some miscellaneous things for wiring and fixing things on the RV. Here we have a tape measure, utility knife, a stud finder, which these don't work on the RV, this is for construction work. And we have some zip ties, miscellaneous things in the top. And the bottom down here, some work gloves, some rags, working on wheel bearings with these. And we have some little clamps for fixing things on the RV, along with a pair of wire crimpers and wire strippers. And a few plumbing things down here, tin snips, and I believe that's the rest of the important stuff. The rest of this will be just for construction work. So a few other things that are in the basement. These little EvaDry dehumidifiers keep the moisture sucked out of the RV so we don't have mold issues. A little bit of painter's tape for miscellaneous things. Some gloves for working on the RV, caulking, greasing, or sewer stuff. One thing you're probably thinking as going through my tools, where's this guy's level at? I don't carry a big level in the RV. This thing has auto level on it and it's always worked good. But I do have little bubble levels mounted in our basement storage. So when I park the RV, I have a good idea how level we are right and left and front and back. Now inside of this tote is spare parts for the RV. Our RV has slide cables and we have slide cable issues. I'm now a pro at changing those. I made a video on changing one of those and the tools you need for it. That's linked down in the description. I do carry 3 of these. You're gonna have the extra surge module for our Power Watchdog surge protector. We had a spare switch. And also for the slide stuff, I carry a spare motor. In case I need the motor or a gearbox, I can use any of these to get our slide back out or in. This is a 4-inch by 50-foot Eternabond tape for fixing a repair on the roof. That way if we run into a branch, we can fix it and keep the water out. And the last thing down here is for our inverter. We need a programmer or changing the settings. This tote has safety stuff we need for the job site. Not things RVers need, but I'll open it up because I'm sure you're curious. And the last of the things I pulled out of the area is this pole for a cell phone booster kit. I don't use it all the time, but it works great when we need it. For instance, we were on a family vacation in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. Cell service was really bad. I put our cell booster up. We can get on the internet, do things I couldn't do without it. My mom was camping with us. She was camped across the campground. She had to come over to our campsite so she could use the phone to make a phone call. That's all for the big storage compartment. Let's go over to the smaller side and see what's in there. My whole understorage is one big compartment. But there's 2 doors, a big one on the other side, a small one over here. So let's pull out things from this side. I have a little cooler for taking to the job site. Water jugs, we have to go off grid for a while. Battery charger for those DeWalt tools. This is gonna be our dehumidifier. We love this thing inside the RV. It packs up really well for storage. Let me show you how it works. We just plug it in. When we're done with it, it packs right back down. In the summertime, it lives inside the RV, but in the off season, it lives in the storage. Now a few more totes on this side. This one has the rest of that cell phone booster I was talking about, with some other things such as tape, zip ties, and things to repair the RV or get down the road. Some of it's hurricane relief work. The other stuff is just things that I like to have in the RV. This tote is just like the stuff that you carry, you want, but you don't really need. Now these are the things you carry, you hope you don't have to use. We have an emergency snow shovel, also a brush to get snow and ice off of the truck, a little brush for help cleaning out the dryer vent, and a little rake for keeping the yard clean. Doesn't look like much, but it's a pretty fun rake that expands out. I'll throw a clip on the screen. I got 2 more quick things I want to show you. Since the propane doors don't have locks on them, these are really easy to get to. We have a couple of these little pop-up cones. We'll use these in an overnight boondocking area or at a truck stop to mark out the area. That way it's safe and no one runs into the RV. We're at the last thing, but you gotta come down here so you can see them. I got 3 of these sewer hose holders down here. These work great for keeping the sewer hoses out of the way. I can put 2 of the Rhino Flex 10-foot hoses inside of one of these tubes. As I mentioned earlier, you'll find all of these products I talked about in our RV basement storage list and our Amazon storefront. And if you want to see more helpful videos like this, you want to check out this playlist next. It's full of RV storage and upgrade ideas. Safe travels, and we'll see you in the next video.